What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we are joined back together again in the San Francisco Giants rebuild here on MLB The Show 21. And I actually have an interesting move that I want to make to start off today's video. Now, the one thing that was kind of brought to my attention whenever I was going through my roster here after I made my latest video regarding long relievers is that I'm not necessarily too happy with my long reliever here. Now, Melvin Adon is playing really well from a pitching perspective with a 3.32 ERA as a long reliever. Like, I can't really complain about that, but what I will say is that I'm not a huge fan of his stamina. And so what I want to do is I want to try to go out and get somebody that can come in and pitch in that long reliever role. Now, I don't necessarily know who I want to give up, if I wanted to give up anybody out of this bullpen, because everybody is pitching really well. So it's not like I need to make this move, but from a perspective of we're trying to make a run at things here, I want to go ahead and improve this position, and I have my eyes on two players right now that I think are going to be worthwhile to potentially acquire. Now, the first player that I think is a very obvious candidate for this role is Mitch Keller of the Pirates. And I know that I'm a Pirates fan. I've done Pirates series on this channel before, so I have a lot of knowledge about Mitch Keller and essentially the fact that he has not been successful as an MLB prospect as of yet. He continues to struggle in real life, and you guys can see that he continues to struggle here within the game, currently at a 6.58 ERA and really struggling within that starting lineup of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, he is a 77 overall. He's only 26 years old, and he does have a potential, so the chances are good that he's going to cost a lot to acquire regardless of his performance. But this is somebody that I think will do really well with a change of scenery, and this is somebody that I'm potentially targeting to add to the team. From a standings perspective, the Pirates are sitting at 30 and 46, so they are well out of any type of contention this year, and it would make sense for them to try to part ways with Mitch Keller at some point, because I do believe within the next few years in real life, if Mitch Keller doesn't really come onto the scene as a great pitcher, they probably will part ways with him. Even if he does burst onto the scene as a great pitcher, I think they'll probably still part ways with him by the way that they build teams. So he's a really great candidate for this role and for what I'm looking to do with the team. Now, he's a player that I might transition eventually into the starting rotation or something like that, but he's somebody that I would really feel comfortable with in that long reliever role, trying to have low pressure situations where he can work on his stuff and maybe develop into the prospect that everybody thought he could be. And then the second of my two options here in today's video is going to be Michael Kopech, the really fast arm out of the White Sox organization, who is currently being misutilized within their organization as a relief pitcher. Now, I don't want to completely say misutilized, because this is a guy that is playing well. Has a 2.25 ERA. He's 5-2, but he's also playing long reliever, and he's playing out of the bullpen. He's not playing starting pitching reps. And so from that perspective, I feel like he would be a valuable add to our team in a way that, you know, he could be long reliever for us and work himself into the bullpen. This is a guy that I really like. This is a guy that I've always liked the prospects of. So it's going to be a matter of seeing what we can give up to get one of these guys back. Additionally, the White Sox are sitting below 500 at 36 and 41, and they are 14.5 games back of the Indians, so it's very unlikely that they could make any type of playoff push this season. So another team that would realistically maybe try to trade away a guy that is performing well to get something back for the future. So I do feel like we have two really good potential options here, and it's a matter of trying to figure out what we need to give up to get one of these guys and what the actual costs of these players would be. Now, honestly, I kind of want to bring in both of them. I think that'd be a little bit unrealistic, but we're going to see what we can do here. I'm going to dive into the trades and whatnot and see what kind of value it's going to take to get at least one of these guys on the team. So I've decided to go after Michael Kopech first and foremost, and the reason being for that is that they do have a clear and obvious need at first base, with their only first baseman on the roster being a 63 overall. Now these guys do have developmental potential, so I think that adding a player in front of them that can start at first base right now is going to be valuable to a White Sox team that is actually pretty good on paper. I think this might be one of their only issues that is causing them to not be able to win games right now. So we are going to ship over to them first baseman Jahmai Jones. Now he's shifting over from second base, but he's a guy that can play all over in the infield and can also play out in the outfield. So this is a guy that I think presents some value. He's also only 25 years old. He has B potential. I didn't really want to part ways with this guy because he's had up and down times for us, but with the emergence of Tyler Black at second base, we just simply don't have an absolute need for Jahmai Jones. So as much as I've liked him around here for the team, we're going to ship him off to play first base for the White Sox. And then in addition to that, we're going to go ahead and ship over relief pitcher Jace Fry. Now the only reason to do this is simply because we're going to be filling a spot here in our bullpen. We really kind of need to move somebody out to fill that spot. And so the idea behind this is we're just going to ship off one of the older players. Yes, Jace Fry has been very good, and so I think from a trade perspective, this is about as good as it can get for the White Sox, who are getting quite a bit of value back for this guy. Now, I believe Kopech in real life is worth quite a bit more than this based on what I've heard about him, but obviously he's not as good in the game here right now, down to B potential and things like that. So shipping off a good relief pitcher and a nice prospect, young prospect first baseman for them should be pretty valuable. And like I said, I don't like to see Jace Fry go, but I think what's going to happen here is Melvin Adon, who has played equally as well as Jace Fry, is going to bump up into his middle reliever spot, and then Kopech is going to bump into that long reliever spot, and it's really going to help out this team. What we're going to do in order to backfill that spot vacated by Jahmai Jones is we're just going to simply bring up Kendall Simmons, who's a very similar player, but also batting really well down here in AAA at 276. So I'm pretty confident that bringing him up to the major leagues as a bench bat, he'll do all right. I don't need him to do great, but I do think that it is worth, trying to move him up to the major league roster right now to fill that spot. So we'll go ahead, bump him up, and then we'll bump other guys up in his place to fill his spot in AAA. And I think that's going to do well for us. I still do kind of want to make a move here for Mitch Keller, so I'm going to be on the lookout for what's going on here with this team. But the interesting thing going on is that we just don't really have anything to spare to fill their needs, anything that I'm really looking to trade away. Like, they could use a good starting pitcher, but I don't know that I really want to trade one away. I mean, I guess I could trade one in basically a similar one-for-one swap for Mitch Keller. But I like the way that our starting pitchers have been playing for us. They do have needs at other positions. They could use better relievers. They could use a closing pitcher. They could use a first baseman that isn't quite so old. And they have needs at a couple of different other areas here, though they have a lot of, high potential prospects like O'Neal Cruz, and they've brought in some good players like Byron Buxton to play center field and things like that. So, I don't necessarily know that we can fill their needs right now, but we'll keep an eye on it as we move closer to the trade deadline to see if we can't get something done for Mitch Keller. So we are going to make an interesting move here, and you guys will see how this is going to play out in a second, but what we're going to be doing is we are going to be sending over Will Wilson as the primary piece in a trade over to the Nationals because they don't have a shortstop really that's worth anything on the roster. So we're going to send them Will Wilson, who is waiting behind Marco Luciano, who is probably not going to see any playing time anytime soon. So we're going to go ahead and send him over, and we're going to go ahead and couple that with the trade over of Melvin Adon, and we're also going to be trading away closing pitching prospect Evan Phillips because they really don't have anything closing pitcher-wise or anything much of value in terms of relief pitching prospects or anything like that on the roster. So we're going to be helping them out in a couple of different areas in order to get starting pitcher Aniel De Los Santos back. Now, that's not the end of what's happening here. You guys will see in a moment what's about to happen with this trade. And so what we're going to go ahead and do with the acquisition of starting pitcher Enyel de los Santos is we're going to send him over in combination with relief pitching prospect Tyler Sear, who is 28 years old, and first base prospect Alejandro Feliz in order to acquire Mitch Keller back in return. So I know that I said that I didn't think I could get both of them, and I managed to pull it off by doing a 3-team trade. Now, this isn't necessarily the craziest trade ever because it's not like I'm trading for anybody that's super high overall, and I'm certainly not trading for anybody that's been productive. And I honestly think that I'm helping out the Pirates more than anything, because if we go ahead and look at the Pirates, they now actually have a starting pitcher that's above an 80, and he's only 25 years old. So our starting pitching rotation maintains the same with Logan Webb, Bede, Romero, Menez, and Jelly, with Seth Corey waiting in the wings, biding his time, trying to get better before we decide to call him up or anything of that nature. And instead, our relief pitching is now Jose Alvarado, Reyes Maranta, Ryan Webb, Caleb Berriger at closing pitcher, obviously. Then we have Michael Kopech, who is going to slot in nicely, and he might not even be the long relieving role, honestly. He might come in as a middle reliever or something of that nature, or somebody that goes like 2 to 3 innings every game, or maybe we go with a 5-pitcher rotation. Who knows? Now that we have these options at pitching, I'm actually really excited because Michael Kopech has 70 stamina. We have Hoyt Haller up here, and then Mitch Keller comes in with 66 stamina, and we're going to be looking to work on things with him. Now, I personally pitch really well with Mitch Keller, so I'm really excited about this move. We're going to see how things play out here as we continue through this month. I think that this video is going to pretty much end with that today, with the trades and everything. But then once I do that, once I've gotten this done, I think we're going to go ahead and advance through at least the month of July and see what happens. Yeah, so I'll try to get you guys another episode here soon where we actually start moving through the month of July, maybe getting some gameplay and whatnot, but I just kind of was having fun doing those trades and whatnot, and so I didn't want to make this too long of a video today. So I think that's going to be the end of our trades, trying to gear up moving forward. I'm going to look forward to maybe getting some offers from other teams to see what they're looking to do coming up to the trade deadline and everything like that. But very interesting how things played out, in my opinion. I'm really excited by all those acquisitions that we've made, the 3 acquisitions that I really think bolster our pitching rotation more than anything and give some young guys chances at other positions and whatnot. So if you guys are interested to see how these things play out, make sure you guys leave a like on the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and stay tuned for what's next, because I'm going to try to do it relatively soon. I do have a little bit of time to be able to make a couple videos, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good one.